Hey there, welcome to the video tutorial and the full walkthrough of my net worth analysis Excel template. I'm going to walk through this kind of step by step all the way through. This is what I have been using and a lot of my clients like to use to track net worth. Um, if the concept of net worth is new to some of you, net worth is just a calculation of your assets minus your liabilities. And so this is a template that I've designed myself over the years for me and my wife and my household. It is something that we review, I'd say at least every quarter, so every 3 months, ideally every month. And so it is the best, by far the best template that I've been able to come up with or come across, quite frankly, that shows just a snapshot in time of your overall financial health. And so, let's just dive right into it. So, first section over here is actually not necessarily contributing to the net worth. The rest of this will automatically calculate, and I'll walk you through that. I do like to track realized income. So basically just household income. Um, you could have a more in-depth sort of template just to track income. I like to just keep this up to date. This is a nice frame of reference for when you're looking at your financial snapshot. So um, let's just imagine your household has a couple people in it who are generating income, and so we have a section for primary monthly income. So let's say you're W-2 employee, full-time employee. You have base salary one line, and so this would be monthly, tracking monthly. So let's just say the number is $5,000 a month. That would be gross. Base salary two. Let's say second person in the household is $4,000, and we have a line item if it's helpful to you, and this can all be customized. Obviously, you can not fill this out, or you can modify it to a different description that works better for you. But let's just say someone's getting bonuses, and that comes out to, let's just say, an average of $2,000 a month. And so that little subsection will calculate for you. Um, there's another subsection for maybe you have some sort of side business or side income. If not, that's fine. You can skip over it. If you do, you can fill something in here. So again, let's just pretend $2,000 in monthly side income. So that'd be net income, since this would be 1099 side income. And then there's a kind of a miscellaneous catch-all other income. So that could be any interest you're getting from yields on high yield savings account. That could be capital gains from stock sales. That could be just miscellaneous sales. Maybe you sell things on Facebook Marketplace when you don't need them anymore, something like that. And then anything else that might not be covered in any of those specific categories you put in here. So we'll just plug in some numbers here. And this would be annual amounts here in this subsection. So we'll just plug in some numbers, $1,000 in interest yield. Let's just say another $2,000 a year in stock sales. Let's say another $1,000 a year in annual miscellaneous sales, and we'll leave other zero. So in this hypothetical, we'll say total annual realized income gross would be $160,000. And so again, that's a helpful frame of reference for me and my household and my wife when we're looking at this together. Okay, now to the fun stuff. We're getting to the assets section. So there's a few different categories of assets. We're going to start with property assets. So this would be any homes, vehicles, other personal property. So let's say you have primary residence. You'd put the estimated value of that. So let's say you have a house worth $800,000. Let's say you have another rental property. If not, of course, it's fine. Just leave it blank. But let's say you do. Let's say that's worth $300,000. Estimated value of any of your personal property. That'd be furnishings, jewelry, anything inside your home that's got any value attached to it. So let's plug in $50,000. Any vehicles, again, best estimated value, that would be like private sale on Kelley Blue Book, for example. So let's say vehicle one is worth $20,000, private sale vehicle two is worth $15,000, and let's just say we're a two vehicle household. Okay, so total property assets, that'll automatically calculate for you. So we're at $1,185,000. Next asset category is going to be non-retirement equity assets. So this would be investment accounts that aren't retirement. So most common one might be taxable brokerage accounts, right, where you have stock investments, but again, it's not retirement. So let's just say we have two accounts there. So say we have $50,000 in one, say we have another 30 in another one. I like putting HSA in here. HSA is a little bit of a gray area when it comes to what asset category, but essentially it's liquid. Of course, you're kind of limited depending on your HSA situation and what you can use it for, but I like to put it in non-retirement equity assets. So let's just say I have $5,000 in an HSA. Let's say my wife has another $4,000. Maybe you work for a company who's got an ESOP, some sort of stock ownership program. Again, that'd be an equity asset that's not retirement. So let's just say we have $50,000 in there. And then any other miscellaneous, equity type assets, you can put into any of these cells if that's relevant to you. So again, this subsection will automatically calculate for you. So total equity assets in this scenario would be $139,000. Then we get into retirement assets. So this would be any 401ks, IRAs. If you have a government employee, maybe a 403b account. So we'll fill this out. So let's say I have $100,000 in one 401k. Let's say my wife has $150,000 in another, and let's say we also have some IRAs, 50,000, another 25,000, and let's say you got someone in the household who's got a 403b account, maybe a teacher, firefighter, or something like that. Say there's another $60,000 in there. So total retirement assets will calculate for you there, $365,000. If you have any children and you have, for example, 529 education savings accounts set up for them, I like to keep track of that in your net worth analysis tracker. So let's say you got $5,000 for child number one, another $4,000 for child number two. So we got total of $9,000 there. And then personal cash reserves. So this is your good old fashioned checking, savings accounts, PayPal, Venmo, savings bonds, physical cash, anything that's just basically purely liquid. So we'll just plug in some numbers here. Okay, so let's say my personal cash reserves in the household is $118,000. And then if it's relevant to you, again, maybe you have some sort of side business, LLC, something that's generating some sort of 1099 income. I like to add a section for that too. So let's say you got one business account and you just want to track the cash reserves in it. Let's say you got $10,000 in that business account. That'll calculate for you. And so that's your last asset category. So once you fill in all these asset sections, of course, that'll automatically total your total assets. So in this scenario, we're looking at total asset value of $1,826,000. And now, of course, the second half of your net worth calculation is going to be your liabilities. And so this would be any, of course, obligations or debts that you have. So if you have any mortgages, vehicle loans, credit card debt, student loan debt, any other type of consumer debt, this would be where you fill out all that here. So let's say we have a mortgage and there's $500,000 on it. Let's say we have another mortgage and there's another $150,000 on that. Let's say vehicle one has $10,000 remaining on the loan. Let's say we have $8,000 on the second car loan. Maybe we have a credit card debt of $3,000. And maybe you have some student loans lingering. Maybe you have $10,000 there. And of course, again, you can add in anything else that is specific to your situation in this liability section, and it will automatically calculate for you. And so total liabilities here, total for you, $231,000 in this scenario. And so here's your quick summary. So it takes your total asset valuation, total liabilities, subtract liabilities from assets. That'll be your net worth. So that's the highlighted dollar amount here. And I like to track our debt to asset ratio. I think depending on who you talk to, you want to keep that under a certain threshold just to kind of make sure you're not too risky. Most say for sure under 40% or something like that. So I like tracking that. When my wife and I look at this, so that'll also automatically calculate for you in this template. So that's how I fill this out. Over here is a quick, again, a little summary, kind of what we just went through, but it'll give you a few other data points. And I use this for myself, of course, and again, some other clients. So I like to track what age, I'm at or they're at in their journey. So let's say I'm 40 years old. And again, these will automatically calculate for you. And I like to use this because there's another tab on this template that has I'll call this a guideline table of recommended net worth by age, and this is going in 5-year increments, starting at age 25 up to right around retirement age. I'll call it 65, and so it takes into account how old you are, how many years you worked, and there's a few kind of goals or guidelines, if you want to call it that. And so I like to use this to see where I stand against this benchmark. You don't have to overthink it and get too worried if you're not necessarily at that guideline. But again, it's just a visible frame of reference for me for something, a goal or benchmark. So again, let's say in this scenario I'm 40, this would be the guideline. So at age 40 and 18 years worked, you'd want to have average pre-tax savings of $427,000, $162,500 post-tax savings, equity in property of $70,000, and an average net worth or your total net worth, maybe you could say your goal would be $660,000. So in this scenario, we'd say at 1.5, almost 1.6 million, you'd say you're far exceeding your goal or the goal or guideline of 660,000. So again, I like to use that as kind of motivation benchmark. And then finally, the third tab over here is I like to track my trend over time. And so every time I fill this out, I will record the 3 main data points. So those data points will be total assets, total liabilities or debts, and my net worth. And so you can fill that out here as the months go on. You don't necessarily have to fill it out every month. I try to, like I said. As you fill this out, your graph, your chart on the right will be updated. So I'm just going to kind of copy paste some numbers here so you can get a sense of the graph, how it updates. And so you can see on the right, as you fill this out, it'll update. All right, so let's just fill out the rest of the table here. And so, in a perfect world, you'd love to see assets kind of continuously over time going up, right? So maybe you see a big jump like this. So maybe you bought a house, right? Maybe you made an investment where your total assets went up. But at the same time, maybe that means, of course, your debt went up because you had to take out a loan to take on that asset. And so, of course, the key here is that, this would be the debt line here. The key here, of course, would be your net worth is really the one that's kind of hopefully consistently, gradually going up over time. And so that's what I keep a close eye on. You have some blips here and there. Maybe the stock market has a bad month. Maybe something else happens. But again, point is, in the aggregate, over a long period of time, your net worth is gradually going up. So again, I've seen a lot of different software applications, programs, Excel templates, Google Sheet templates that help track net worth. A lot of them are good. To be honest with you, a lot of them I think are a little overkill. I like this. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty much table driven. And therefore it's very realistic for me and my household to keep up with it and track it, on a pretty darn consistent basis. And it's been a super, super important tool in, our journey for wealth building. And, we sit down and look at this, not only just consistently just to look at it, but also before we make any major financial decision. We look at this to get, the latest and greatest snapshot of what our financial health is. So I hope this is helpful to you. If this is, feel free to comment or, send me any feedback. Of course, if you have any questions, comment as well, let me know. And again, I hope it's helpful to you. Thank you very much.